An intense cold front is expected to make landfall in the Western Cape tomorrow. It's expected to bring flooding, and residents are warned to be cautious. There are also concerns about wildfires. For more on this, Colin Deiner joins us now. He's Cape Town's Chief Director of Disaster Management. Colin, thanks so much for joining us. So tell us first off what kind of conditions residents of Cape Town can expect.
Good evening, and to your viewers. Yeah, so what we've got at the moment is we have a weather warning for two cold fronts that are going to hit us tomorrow. The first one is tomorrow evening, and what we're expecting are strong winds, very cold weather, and the winds are really going to cause, I think, quite a lot of concern for us. We're currently dealing with a very large fire in the Somerset West area, so that's a major concern. And then the second cold front, which will be hitting on Monday evening, is going to be bringing with it around 80 millimeters of rain in certain areas, coming in over the Winelands, the Garden Route area, the Central Karoo. So that's sort of what we've been told to expect in the next 2 days.
So while the rain that's going to accompany that second cold front might allay some fears of spreading wildfires, obviously the winds related to that first cold front hitting tonight are not good for wildfires, and neither are they good for those living in informal settlements. Tell us what kind of preparations are being made to try and mitigate what could happen in the coming day or two with regards to strong winds and flooding in the poorest areas.
Okay, so, we do a lot of work pre-winter season in awareness and in preparation in terms of stormwater, in terms of making sure that, we have a proper water flow through those areas, that people are moved away from low-lying areas. So all those contingencies have been put into place. Obviously, our emergency services are all on standby. Our disaster management centers are activated. And, it's just a question of making sure that people are protected first and foremost, and then obviously to respond to any incidents that are taking place. So quite a lot of work has been done around preparation, as I said, awareness, and just making sure that we can take the hits, the ones that come.
So we know that Cape Town's been experiencing some unseasonably mild weather over the last week. Do you think that the majority of the population in Cape Town is aware that this inclement weather is about to hit them?
I think there's been quite a lot of work done in terms of informing people, and obviously, the city and the other areas have done a lot of work around that. This weather, as you say, is very unseasonal, and we generally don't have fires now. And currently, we're dealing with a fairly large fire, and this is not common, but we have had it before. I think you recall 5 years ago, pretty much, in this week, we dealt with a very large fire in the Knysna area. So I think people in the Western Cape are aware that this could happen, and obviously, it's very important that they work with us around warnings and early warnings and that kind of thing.
Just tell us quickly about the containment of that fire that you've been fighting. What's the situation looking like at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment we still have very strong winds, and the fire has turned. We have 130 firefighters on the incident. About 30 fire trucks from various agencies. It's obviously in the City of Cape Town's area, so largely them. At the moment, the fire is gone into the Helderberg Nature Reserve. It's still burning in a lot of quite dense bush area. So it has been contained to this point. Obviously, we don't know what the wind's going to do, but we have resources in place. They'll be there all night. If we need to do aerial attacks, that'll happen tomorrow morning. But obviously, the important thing is going to be to make sure that we are in place when the wind does hit tomorrow afternoon, and we've maintained some sort of control.
So just coming back to the expected high rainfall, 80 millimeters has been predicted, and you've sent out a call to residents of Cape Town specifically about illegal dumping. Just explain that a little bit to us.
Sure. So the big thing about illegal dumping is, you need to keep your waterways open. In the winter, in the summers when we have fires, you have a lot of trees, you have a lot of biomass falling into waterways. If people are dumping illegally, they're dumping into areas which naturally will be used where water can run down. And if people are dumping illegally in those places, the problem that happens is you end up with a situation that they become clogged up, and they literally dam the water in, and up to such a point that it just becomes way too much water, way too heavy. That sort of temporary dam wall, if I can call it that, breaks, and then you have flash floods. And where you were walking through, an area without even getting your feet wet, at one point, a few seconds later, you could be in a raging kind of river coming down at you. So that's really why preparation is so important. Keeping stormwater drains clean, keeping waterways clean is really, I think, for me, probably about 70 to 80% of what needs to happen.
Just lastly, before I let you go, are there any areas, low-lying areas, perhaps informal settlements built in exactly the wrong place, where you are advising people to seek alternative shelter until the storm has passed?
Yeah, look, I mean, informal settlements by their very nature, there's not been too much planning around it. As people settle, they settle many times in high-risk areas. So it is a very difficult situation. We spend a lot of time doing awareness. We try and get people to understand what that challenge is. And yes, I think that localized flooding is a major challenge in informal settlements. It's something that we have to face and something that we have to deal with. And we do spend, I think, a lot of time trying to let people understand what those risks are. We've seen those kind of risks happen recently in other parts of the country with really tragic circumstances. And obviously, we need to make sure that we're addressing that.
Well, thank you very much for that word of warning. That's Cape Town's Chief Director of Disaster Management, Colin Deiner, telling us about some extreme weather expected to hit Cape Town tonight. And again, another cold front hitting on Monday night, bringing some unexpected rain.